So this is just a short video of me going through a Weasel practice mission that I did. I thought I could talk you through what I was doing. I wish I could show you the replay. Unfortunately, it became corrupted. It showed me getting shot down in the end by MiG-29, which I wasn't. But I'll walk you through it. So I've started here from just before the action really starts. I have this set to pause on event. But I will be pausing intermittently to talk things through. So just in case you're unaware, this red sphere is basically the launch area for the SAMs. And these are SA3s, I believe. Let's see. Yep, SA3s, SA19s, and SA15s. And an SA8. So quite substantial. And our mission here isn't really to destroy everything. That's not a Wild Weasel mission. It's to destroy some systems, but really to deplete stocks. Okay, so now we're in the danger zone, and right there, I'm going to back up here a little bit. Okay, so I hear the launch, that doot, 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 doot. That's in the F-16. In the Hornet, that's going to be like kind of sound. So as soon as I hear that, I begin my turn, and just a couple degrees into the turn, pop, chaff, and flare. That's not very much, but it's enough. So then I go into terrain. I'm extremely low at this point. I'm flying between trees right here. So come back to there. So the missiles launch. They're tracking me, tracking me, tracking me. And that last one is the last one to see me until I go between the system and a hill. So here I'm turning back into the SAM area. The reason I'm doing that is I want to get into a position where I can use my Mavericks. I can technically use them out here, but I much prefer it being shorter range. And really what you want to do in Weasel is close. Now in this mission, I am loaded with 6 Mavericks and 4 Mark 82s. On a piece of advice, I also carry the HAD pod. The hats said it's the same thing. It's the harm targeting system. So when there's an emitter looking at me, or looking in the area, I can lock it up with the hats, and that becomes basically a target point. I can, when I have that locked up, I can immediately go to my Maverick, and if it's in, I think if it's in pre, then it'll be slewed right to the SAM site, which is really nice. But usually I have Invis and HUD as soy. So there's the launch. I begin turning away, chaff and flare. There we go. So the missile has been defeated, so let's walk through that again. I hear the launch, and you might notice that there's a bit of a delay there between the launch and my actions. That's because what's shooting at me, it looks like that's an SA-15 shooting at me right there. That missile goes active. It has basically TWS. And so I won't hear the launch until the missile has gone active, until its own seeker is looking at me. Bam, the seeker's looking at me, and I've reacted. So I descended, missiles impacted the ground. Now, I want to be clear about this. I'm not going into the notch here. At this shorter range, I don't have the mental capacity to go into the notch. Instead, what I'm doing is I'm generating aspect. I'm making it so that the missile has to cover the most ground possible. So at one point, it's intercepting me, and then I turn, and now it's chasing me. And I want it to chase me. I want it to burn that fuel and burn that energy. The more energy it burns, the better I'm doing. So right there, I want to walk you through that. So here I'm down low. At this point, I can't see what's going on. So I need to climb. climbed. Bam, I have situational awareness. I know what's over here. And I hear the deet, 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 deet. And there's the launch. And those go into the ground. Then there's the AAA. And here's what I'm doing. These little pop-ups, what that's also to do is to get them to launch their missiles. So I'm coming in close. I'm really betting that that because of my maneuvers, nothing's going to happen. Now here, I did see this missile coming at me, and I was immediately worried because of the range. And I believe that's coming off of an let's see what that. Yeah, that's an SA-19. Those missiles have thrust vectoring, so I do get concerned about those. If it's an SA-2, SA-3, SA-5, um, some SA-6, those do not have thrust vectoring. Those maneuver with fins, like an airplane. The fins are very small, and so you turn, and you have bigger wings. They have smaller wings. You can beat them in a turn because when you turn tighter than them, they're stalling. But uh, the missiles off the SA-19, as well as I believe the SA-8 and the SA-15, those have thrust vectoring. You cannot beat them in a turn. You have to defeat them in energy. So as soon as I see that, bam, I'm turning away. And I was flying formation with a missile for a little bit. That was not the chaff and flares that did anything there. That was my maneuvering. I bled the energy of the missile. So here, so basically right there is when the missile has lost. It's run out of propellant. So I turn away, and it's totally out of energy, and it detonates itself. So I climb to gain situational awareness to get something to shoot at me, and then I dive. And you'll see right there, that chaff and flare did work. It did do its job. Part of that was I went into a perfect notch. The other part is I went right down into the deck, so nothing else could shoot at me. That chaff and flare really did work perfectly. So thank you for that. I appreciate you guys. Here we go. Same from the SA-19. It's lost propellant right there. I'm climbing. It's trying to climb too, but you see it. Oh, yep. It just could not keep up. Couldn't hack it. Now, there's another thing to keep in mind here. It's not just me in this airspace. There's also two MiG-29s en route, and I can see them on my RWR. I know that they're there. So they're going to come into play in just a moment. There's a launch. I'm defending, and I'm very concerned about those missiles. Turning in, launch right there. Yep. Maverick. Does the Maverick impact? Yes, it does. And that climb was gain situational awareness and get something to shoot at me. This is Wild Weasel. You want things shooting at you. So that right there, R-27ER, I knew. So here's the beauty of a layered air defense system, although if it was perfectly layered, what we would have is we would have the SA-3 or preferably for short range an SA-11, with then the SA-8 and SA-15 scattered around here. But here's the beauty of a layered air defense system. This guy's shooting at me. At the same time, these guys have scrambled. They're engaging me at the same time. There's the R-27ER. Now, I've defeated that missile. But now I have to worry about this guy. He's on an intercept course, and I want to make sure that I'm not flying too tight a formation with him. Okay, so what happened there? Well, I'm working on defeating this missile. I know I've defeated the R-27ER. As I'm climbing, I go into dogfight mode. TMS up short to get the egg, and then I think it's TMS left short to get the vertical scan mode. He's right on my nose. He's in that scan zone. He's locked. Bam! And I'm off. He's jettisoned tanks. And he was well within the mar. There was nothing he could do. Now, I'm also acutely aware of this guy. And I have to be cognizant of any missiles coming from the SAMs. Another word for SAMs, by the way, is GBAD, or Ground-Based Air Defense. So I'm not getting any launch warnings from behind, but I have to be cognizant that there could be. I'm very worried about this guy here. So I come down, get into the ground clutter, dogfight mode again, and that again, let's get here. So right there, I'm down low. So that's where the egg, I don't remember exactly what it's called, but in the Helm Mountain site, you have the egg, and that's when you lock it up. Right here, that's when I've locked up this MiG-29. As soon as I have locked up, I pitch up, AMRAAM off, and I know that's well within the MAR. Nothing can stop that missile from hitting that MiG-29. I'm turning away. Sometimes AMRAAMs can do amazing things. And now, immediately, I'm turning right back in. Sorry about that box coming up. So, let's go back a little bit. Okay. So I've turned right back in. And now I'm back in the Maverick mode, hot as soy, in Viz mode. Now there's the little box that's following the flight path marker. So that box is the bore sight. And once I've got the bore sight, the flight path marker generally on this area, then I'm going to slew it around, lock up a target, launch. So rifle, rifle, and rifle. And I'm turning away. Let's see if that chaff and flare works. Bam, it does. Works very well. So let's see what I've knocked out. Looks like some AAA and an SA-3 launcher. Nice. So now what I'm doing is I'm deciding, do I want to exfil now, or do I want to go in for guns? I don't have any Mavericks left. I can, or go in for bombs. I'm Winchester Mavericks. I've still got those 4 bombs. So what I'm doing here, right there, is I got the hat up. As I turn in, I lock up that radar sight. Right there, I've locked up the radar with the hat. Now, there's something to keep in mind here. So that does create a target point, but the hat is not precise. And in fact, it did not lock up the radar sight that I wanted. So now as I'm diving, I'm grabbing the Mark 82s. I set them to pair and CCRP so that they drop on that radar sight that the hat has locked up. Coming in, there's the AAA, and that's when I realized things are not working as I intended. That is not the radar sight that I wanted to hit. So I climb and go into CCIP back to pair. Zoom in here. At this point, I'm just defeating this AAA. I turn in and I'm looking at these guys. Pickle, pickle. Bam. Did some damage. I don't know if I knocked anything out. And then I firewall it out of there. but I gotta be. Um, yeah, I gotta do some disrespect here. Yeah. So I hope that helps. So that's basically what I mean by generating aspect. I'm coming into the radar site. They launch me, and I turn 90 degrees away. If I need to, which is usually, I'm going to turn away. And I'm going to try and basically out energy that missile. I'm dogfighting the missile. But it's like dogfighting an ME-163 Comet. It has very limited burn time. I have constant burn. That missile is going to be a lot faster than me in its boost phase. But in its terminal phase, it's not going to have any thrust. It's going purely off of kinetic energy. So turning away, usually a good bet. Then, or I can turn in. That's really limited to if I'm fighting against like SA2s, not very maneuverable. SA6s if I'm really close, or SA10s if I'm really close. Now, the SA11, that does have thrust vectoring missiles. I'm not going to try and maneuver against that in close. I'm going to be running away. Best option, however, against SA11s and SA10s is harms. Get them from a distance. Magnum from 20 miles. Knock out those radars, preferably as an element, or even a flight. Knock out those radars, and then get in close with your Mavericks. But this is really when you're fighting this GBAD, this idea of a very close and tight-knit SAM area, IADS. This is how you approach it. And it's a dance. It really is. If you have any questions, let me know.